We're making Cacio e Pepe. This is a 4-ingredient pasta that is really easy to make, but it can go wrong quite easily if you don't do the right steps, and I'll run you through every single detail in the video to make sure you get it right. Let's get straight into it. Now, just before we get started, I want to run you through the two main ingredients, spaghetti and cheese. I know they're pretty simple ingredients, but this right here is authentic Pecorino Romano. Please don't use the cheap stuff for this recipe. It's highly processed and it will just clump up when we try to melt it. This right here is nice and soft and will allow to melt. This is pasta, obviously, spaghetti. I'm using a number 15 spaghetti, and this is high starch. You can see the flour on the outside. When we cook this, this will allow the pasta water to become highly starched, and then when we make the sauce, it will thicken up really well.
What we are going to do is place a large pot of water over a high heat and bring it to a boil for our pasta, and then in the meantime, we can grate our Pecorino Romano cheese. I'm using 160 grams worth, and we want to run this along a fine microplane and get this as soft as fluffy as possible. That way it will melt perfectly. Don't use a box grater for this because it's just too big. Now, you all know how much I love my cracked black pepper. We're going to add 50 cracks worth to the pan. This is going to be one of the main ingredients, and there is only 4 ingredients in this recipe, so there's not too much to it. Once that is done though, we can then take this over to our stovetop, and at the same time our pasta water will be boiling. Add in 450 grams of the spaghetti, generously season it with salt and let it sit for about 10 to 15 seconds before we can fold it in. Then we're going to cook this for about 2 to 3 minutes, less than the packet instructions, because we will continue cooking it once we transfer it over to the pan. Now, 2 minutes before the pasta's done cooking, add the pan with the peppercorns over a medium-high heat. Toast these for about 45 seconds to 1 minute, just until really nice and dark, as well as really fragrant. Then what we're going to do is add about 3/4 of a ladle's worth of the pasta water into the peppercorns. Just be careful because this will start splatting everywhere. Just don't burn yourself with the steam. And due to the fact that this is bubbling away, we can add in a little bit extra of the pasta water just to fill it up to about 1 ladle's worth in total. This can then be given a good mix around and cook it for about 1 to 1.5 minutes, just until slightly reduced. This will naturally thicken up due to the starch that's in the pasta water, and that's why we do use it, and that's also the reason why the pasta is in a shallow pan. I also recommend switching over to a spatula just so the peppercorns don't burn on the side of the pan, and you can see that that has thickened up really well. The next thing to do is turn the heat down to medium, transfer the pasta straight into the pan. It is okay to bring along a little bit of that pasta water. We will be adjusting the consistency later on anyway, and then just give this a really good mix through, making sure everything is evenly coated throughout. Also, make sure you do have this over a medium heat at this stage because the next part is the main bit that can go wrong. As for the crucial part, add in all of the Pecorino Romano cheese and then move really quickly with some tongs and just mix this all together as fast as you can. If we leave this too long, it will start to clump up and the dish will be ruined, but you will have no problems if you've used the right cheese. As for this, just continue mixing it around until everything is evenly coated and nice and smooth. Then what we're going to do is just use the pasta water in ladles worth of small amounts and just adjust the consistency to get this nice and creamy. This part is completely up to you, there is no measurement for this, so just keep adjusting it until you get the creamy consistency that you like. I did end up using about 3 ladles worth of the pasta water just to get this nice and creamy, similar to the creamy based sauces that I actually do make, but once that's exactly how you like it, this can then be removed from the stovetop. As for serving up, twist it into bowls, plates, or eat it straight out of the pan if you can't wait. This recipe will serve 2 to 3 people. I recommend garnishing it with some more Pecorino Romano cheese because you definitely can't have enough cheese in this recipe. And then we're also going to hit it up with some more cracked black pepper just for that nice finishing touch. Of course you can add salt to this, but the pasta water is already salted as well as the cheese, so it's not really necessary. Once that is all done though, we're then left with this 15-minute Cacio e Pepe that's done perfectly, and I can't wait for you to try it.
With everything said and done, there is only one thing left to do, and that is, of course, we can then dig in. With this only taking the same amount of time as it does to cook pasta, the flavour is absolutely delicious from something so simple. Obviously, don't cheap out on that cheese, it is recommended, and the flavour is better as well. The cheese that I bought, it was about a 225 gram block, cost me about $8, so realistically, this dish only costs about $10 to $12 in total for about 2 to 3 people. Definitely do make this recipe, it is incredible, so much flavour and super easy. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, consider subscribing, it really does help me out, and hit that bell notification next to it so you never miss when I upload, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.